Well, hello everyone. If you'd like to see my first toile of the Lois Dress, and if you're making a Lois Dress, you might want to watch this. And it is the first toile, probably of many, I would suspect. And also 2 makes for the week to take away to Vietnam. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, I'm Deb and this is DB Designs and Sewing Australia. Welcome to all my subscribers and welcome to anyone who's new. I would like to thank all of those people who have bought me a coffee through my Ko-fi account. It is very much appreciated. I really appreciate all your support and all your help with this channel. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. I made my first toile of the Lois Dress. This is the Lois Dress by Tessuti. Looks fabulous. You can see how it comes into a very deep V at the front, which is what I thought I would have an issue with. Here are the line drawings. So you can see it's quite a simple dress. I looked up the reviews online and a few people had said that it was runs on the larger size. I was a size 14. I was a size 14 bust, 12 waist, and 10 hip. So my bust is 100. My waist is 79 or 80, and it says it's 79 for a size 10 and 84 for a size 12. And the hip, I think I'm 99. Just let me check my book. Yep. And my hips, I'm between 97 and 99. So I was thinking that it was a 14 for the bust, a 12 for the waist, and a 10 for the hips. And then I read reviews, and just like 1 or 2 people had said, hey, this is quite, runs on the large size. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a 12. So I made a 12. And I did do all the proper bias on the inside of the neck and everything so that we would get, so I would get a proper result. The only thing I didn't do was top stitch this down. So this gets top stitched. It's actually got a lot of top stitching on it. When you look at the line drawings, you can see all the top stitching. So you've got your neckline, but coming down to under the bust all the way along the back. Oh, that's just the hem. And so quite a bit of top stitching. Very easy construction, very easy. And so I have clips of me with the toile on, so you can see it. Okay, so this is a straight size 12. When I looked at reviews online, it said it was a bit oversized. Clearly it's not oversized in the bust. My measurements were 14 bust, 12 waist, 10 hips. So I think the waist and the hips are fine, but it is so tight here. And you can see in the back, because you can see like all your bra through it, bra marks, that, and look at that, look at the way your boobs sit. Like, imagine if you had fabric that creased up when you sit down and then you stand up, you're going to have big lines under there. So when I look like that, you don't want a dress that you have to keep on pulling down all the time. I think probably the distance, I'm not sure, maybe that's what needs to be released. So the next thing I'm going to do, it's a very easy dress to make, really easy. And I've just whacked in a lap zip I had. You can see that it's electric green. It's one of those zips I got from Jack Stock in Moorabbin. and they were like 20 cents each. So my zips I have for students to practice with, practice putting a lap zip in, which is what you do way before you ever put an invisible zip in. But this dress has an invisible zip in the side. Now I can easily get it done up, but it is a lap zip. And sometimes an invisible zip can be harder to do up, especially when it's going through a seam, which it will be here. So the next thing I'm going to do is make the straight size 14 and see how that looks. I'm not worried about from here down because you can take that in, let that out. It's really that it needs to fit here in the bust. The only problem I think I'm going to have with the size 14 is it's going to be really low. You can already see my bra in this. And you probably could do things, but then that's going to make it so that I don't think it actually does come under your bust. There's your under your bust. There's a bra wires. So I want to eliminate having that mark that leaves. And so I think making it less tight there is going to be the key to that. So I'm going to make the size 14 and then do a comparison. But it will be when I come back from Vietnam. But I am going to get this dress right. I am going to adjust it. I do not want to, which you could always do to anything, is make a bigger size and pull that in, stitch it together there, and that would be fine. But that's not the look I was going for. The look I was going for is to have this piece that comes up into a point, to have that meet the other pieces like that does there. You can see it there. And so I don't want to destroy that part of the pattern, because I have seen that other people have like stitched up the front or stitched this closer together. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted it to look like it's supposed to look. Yes, I want the V to be probably there. It is a low cut dress, and this is probably the style of bra I would wear, because I've got two bras the same as this, one in a nude color and this white one. So I want it to still be low cut because that's the idea of it. And I want to keep it in because it's quite a narrow V, and I think a narrow V looks really nice. So it's not like you can see all of your boobs way out here. So I'm going to make the 14, see how that looks, do a comparison, and we'll probably have to do a mashup of both. But in order to get this part higher, and I think it may need to come higher, and it depends how loose it is in the 14. If the 14's bigger overall, you know, I may have the ability to take the shoulders up. It would still have to not compromise the bust of the dress, and so I would need it to be like that. Sort of a little bit empty there, but I just think that's my boobs. It's like your boobs need to be in there, which make it even worse and lower cut again. So that's what I'm going to do with this Lois dress. I'm going to make it in a 14, and remembering that this is in a calico, which does not relax. So the fabric I've got is a cotton linen, so it will relax more than a calico does, and I'm quite happy to have it much more on the roomy side. I think this is way too tight. I don't think the dress is designed to be really, really tight like this. It looks fitted, but I don't think it's designed to be tight. So that's where I'm going to next with this dress. Stay tuned for the size 14, which won't be till I come back from Vietnam, and we'll see how we go from there. By spring, I will have mastered this dress and be able to tell you the adjustments I made. I no longer have a huge bust. I do take a size E bra, but before that I have taken a G. So I think they're pretty empty there. That's just old age. And you can just see when you stand relaxed that this is creasing down. So it's too tight here, there. It's like the under bust is too tight. Not the waist, because the waist is here. And that seems okay, although that could do with a bit of relaxing in it. But it's this part here that I feel is way too tight and is going to crease up like the billy-o. So size 14 I will make, and let's see how that looks. I mean, that might be really good. And the reason I made the 12, as I said, was because when I read reviews, people went, it's a little on the big side. And I thought, I'm a 14, 12, 10, maybe I should just go for the 12, which is why I made the 12. Well, clearly, it's probably true to size in the bust. The waist and the hips, I don't know. So I will make a 14 in the calico, see how we go. I did the proper finishing on the neckline, even though this is a toile and in calico, because I needed to see how that was going to join up. And you actually top stitch here under the bust. So if you're thinking about you're going to do top stitching, how much relaxing is your fabric going to be able to do? Probably not as much as if it was not top stitched, but not much in it to whip up the size 14. But yeah, I feel that it's under stress here, and that's why it's got those lines, because my boobs are pulling it down from the shoulders. So I'm going to try a size 14 and let's see how we go with that. Okay, so you can see that I certainly need bigger than a size 12 in the bust. That is for sure. So, as I said in the clip, I am going to be making a straight size 14, and then I'm going to do a comparison. So it is really easy to whip together this dress. I was very accurate and very precise in my seam allowances because I thought that was a really big deal. So I'm going to see how I go with the 14 and see if I need to take up the shoulders in a 14. I'm not sure. And if I make a 14, it is surely going to be lower in the front than this already is. So I'm going to work out what I will need to do to bring that up without wrecking, oh, there's a nice pucker, without wrecking that nice line design that it's got. And it is low, but I just don't want it to show my bra. So when I come back from Vietnam, I will be whipping up the size 14 toile, admittedly in calico, which doesn't relax when you wear it. Doesn't matter how long you have that calico one on for. My body never heated it up enough for it to make a difference. So that's where I'm at with the Lois Dress. So then, as a bit of a palette cleanser, after making the Lois Dress, and I can't say that I was disappointed because I knew I was going to have to make several toiles in it. I made some linen pants. I think this is a linen cotton blend from Spotlight, using the New Look 6351, and I make the size 16 these days. And I've never actually put all of the pockets on it before. Sometimes I put other like rounded pockets in it, but this time I decided I would put the pockets that come with it, which is like a square style pocket. Plus, I also did the back pockets. You can see there. And top stitched down the crutch front and back, just to give it extra strength. I'll show you these pockets on the inside. So this is one of my go-to patterns. If I'm not making this pattern for pants, I'm making the... Yes, it is Sewing Revival. So they're the two pants that I make. And so this is the pocket. Let me show you the side seam. So that's what the pocket looks like on the inside. Now, if you want everything overlocked on the inside and to sit really flat, I actually overlocked all the bottom section of this pocket before I sewed it in. So I overlocked it on the flat when it was all one piece, because this is actually folded in half. And once I had stitched the pocket piece to the side edge, so once I'd stitched the pocket piece to the side seam, I then overlocked that as well. So you can see these are actually overlocked separately and not together. Because I like a really clean finish, and I don't want to be able to, and not that anybody does, but I don't want to be able to look inside under that pocket and for that edge not to be overlocked. So that's the edge there inside. Not because anybody can see it, but because, especially if you were working with a pure linen, it can get very raggedy. And then I'd have to turn them inside out when I was ironing them, trim that off with the scissors so that I could make it look how I wanted it to be on the inside. But it's not a pattern that's really big on telling you when to overlock. It's probably quite an old pattern. Does it have dates on it? Okay, it has got a date on it, 2015. So it's 10 years old. And 10 years ago there were indie patterns, but not like there are today. And I find that the older patterns are not telling you when to finish things off. So when you're making something like these pants, and I thought, if I don't overlock that when I've sewn the pocket, top pocket. So you sew the pocket bag to the front and you sew the pocket bag to the back. And so when you pull it out, you've got this little panel that runs across that becomes your pocket. That's the time to overlock both of those seams. And I know they're going to be overlocked separately and not together, but it's the only way for me to get a really clean finish. And as I said, prior to sewing that in, I had overlocked the bottom because I thought, if I sew this pocket bag together, I'm not going to be able to overlock right up to the very edge like I want to. So I pre-overlocked it. Now, in a lot of indie patterns, it tells you to do stuff like that. You know, it says, now overlock this, or serge, or whatever you want to call it. But really happy with these pants. Really like them, really comfortable. And then when I was at Spotlight, that fabric came from Spotlight, by the way. I'm not sure if I said that. I found this really beautiful lawn, and it's got the teal colour in it. So as you can see, this goes really well together. And what I made was a balloon sleeve blouse. So that's a Pattern Emporium balloon sleeve blouse, but I turned it into a V-neck. So this is my usual V-neck alteration, and it is based on using the Nerida Hansen Paloma jumpsuit V, because I really like the shape of the V. It's not a harsh straight V, it's quite a soft V. So did that, cut myself a new facing, understitched it, top stitched it down because I can't stand it when the facings come out. And I'm really happy with this top. I don't know how it's going to go when I put it in a suitcase, but because I do love a balloon sleeve blouse. So I do make another alteration to the balloon sleeve blouse. So they have you finish the whole sleeve band off before you attach the sleeve. And when you do that, what happens is, so your sleeve is actually attached on the flat, and so they have you finish off the whole sleeve band on the flat. So it's not stitched together on the sleeve seam yet. And then you, once you've inserted the sleeve then on the flat, you then stitch all the way from the top to the bottom on that sleeve, and then you overlock it off. And then you're left with overlocking coming out of the end of your sleeve. And I really don't like that look. It's just not neat enough for me. So rather than doing it that way, I do the gathering, I sew the sleeve in, I sew the seam, and then I sew the band onto the sleeve. Now in this case, I sew the band onto the inside of the sleeve, flipped it over, and then top stitched it on the outside to finish it off, so that in the underarm seam you've got a neat finish on the inside, so that I really don't like the other way. I notice that lots of patterns do that, and if you got a feeling the Naya t-shirt does that too. But in a t-shirt or in something that is actually right under your armpit, it's probably not so bad. But in the case of this type of top, when I have it on, it would be like to here, I'd be able to see it. And so I just don't like that look when I can see it. I don't really care what other people can see, just what I can see. I need it to be neater than that. So I cut it on the fold in the front. As I said, I did the V-neck change. It's got a back seam, and I did the beautiful faced hem. The faced hem is lovely. And because it's lawn and it's very lightweight and fly away, a bit floaty, I thought that's going to sit much nicer with that faced hem. So really happy with that shirt, happy with the fabric. The fabric feels lovely. And while I was fiddling around at my sewing table, I also noticed that this shirt here goes perfectly with these pants too. Remember, I've got a top in this Artist Muse fabric. I think that's what it's called. So that gives me extra things to wear with those pants as well as being able to wear, you know, your normal t-shirts and all that sort of thing with it. So really happy with those makes. Really thinking about what I'm going to do with the Lois dress. And I guess I'm not really going to know until I make the size 14 and try that on in the toile. And even once I'm finished all my toiles and I'm happy with the changes, I'm going to make one in a rayon, which would be a wearable toile, and see if I'm happy with that before I cut that Miss Moresby's fabric. So that's what I'll be doing. I've got someone coming shortly for me to fix a dress they need to wear to a wedding, so I can give it to them tomorrow morning before we go to Melbourne. I will try to come to you from Vietnam, or if not, take some footage. You know, I'm not very good at doing that sort of thing, but I'll be giving that a go, seeing if I can get some really good photos or footage, especially of any fabric markets we go to. I've already looked them all up. I'm really looking forward to our holiday. Everybody have a wonderful week, 2 weeks. I won't be back for 2 weeks. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for what happens with the next toile of the Lois Dress. We will get there. We will get it right. And so I know there are a few people that have reached out and said, I wanted to make the Lois, but it's just going to be too low cut. Let's see how we can do an alteration that retains the integrity of the design of the pattern, because that's what it is. It's the design of how low that V is. Nice narrow V, so we haven't got to worry about that bit. We just want it to come up a little bit higher, but we don't want to destroy the front of that dress or stitch it together, which is what you do to other things that have a seam up the front. Just stitch it up higher. But this dress is not like that, and I really would like to retain the integrity of the dress and make it wearable and not obscene, really. Still not something you might want to wear to work, but probably a lovely dress you could wear out for dinner in summer. So let's see how we go with the 14 and see how that fits. And I will come back to you with that once I'm back from holidays. Everybody have a wonderful couple of weeks. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.